Yo, what is going on, everyone? Here we are, UFC 308. Settle down a little bit, kick back. I'm gonna break down some fights for you, give you the picks, give you the bets, give you everything you need to know. This is the one-stop shop for betting UFC 308. We absolutely killed it last week. All I'm saying right now, last week we absolutely killed it right now. Our only miss was the Michelle Pereira money line, and then two little tiny long shots we had. We had Asu Alamabaya by knockout at plus 1,000, and then we had Robelis to Spain by round 2 knockout. Didn't come through for us. I knew better than to throw down on the Robelis money line. I'm not throwing down on the Hadley money line, that Kyler Phillips money line. I'm pretty good at seeing where the traps are, seeing the traps that these bookies like to lie. You go on Twitter right now, it is a grave, just a field of graves, man, a cemetery. Holy shit. I don't know if you guys have Twitter, you have Instagram, anything. Every single capper that I've seen that's doing UFC stuff, down tremendous. So many of these fucking idiots don't understand how betting works. If you're putting more than a unit on a guy like fucking Kyler Phillips, what's wrong with you? If you're putting a single dollar on Jake Hadley, what is wrong with you? Are you kidding me? Something I pride myself in is I'm good at identifying those fucking trap spots. I might not be willing to pull the trigger on a Rob Font money line, but I'm damn sure not going to pay minus 500 for Kyler Phillips. Are you kidding me? Man, my confident dog last week, we had Darren Elkins. He came through for us. I had a half unit on him, then I was watching some more tape. I doubled down on him. My worry was that guillotine. I watched some tape. As he said in the post fight, everyone's welcome to try and guillotine me. You're not going to be the first, and you're not going to be the last to try. All right? And then we hit Austin Lane over 0.5 takedowns. That was the most free prop on the board, plus 140. Are you kidding me? Plus 140 for Austin Lane? That's the only way he was going to ever win that fight. He's not going to walk out there and get knocked out by Robelis to Spain. That guy's fucking trash, all right? Then we had the Elkins and Pineda fight to go the distance for plus 170. We had the Hadley Smotherman fight to go the distance at plus 140. Now that fight was a little scary because I thought Smotherman was going to finish him. I knew Hadley wasn't going to finish. Shit, that guy's terrible. He's out of the UFC now, thank the Lord. I don't know, man. We've been killing it recently. And let's hop right into these fights. Starting off hot here, we got Renat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. Now, it was supposed to be Renat Fakhretdinov versus Nurtson Ruzaboyev. Fortunately, Ruzaboyev pulled out about a week and a half. Now we have Carlos Leal. This is a PFL guy. I'm not super high on this guy one bit, man. If you lose to Sada Busai not once but twice, I'm actually never going to pick you to win a fight in the rest of your career. So, I mean, he can beat up all the bums that he wants to. Renat is not great, but Renat is the much better fighter here. For like a half second, I was thinking about picking a Carlos Leal. He can maybe stop some of the takedowns. He can maybe take Renat down. And then I was like, what am I thinking? This guy lost to Sada Busai. Renat, obviously, he hasn't shown anything too crazy in the octagon yet. He went to war with Dalby. Dalby's damn good, man. Dalby's really good. A lot of people don't understand that. Dalby put down Bonfim, put him down, man. He fucking clotheslined that guy. And then Carlos Leal, he actually, speaking of Gabriel Bonfim, he was scheduled to fight him back in the day. He was scheduled to fight Carlston Harris, not once but twice, in two different organizations, which is kind of weird. Both those fights fell out. So he could have had a wealth of UFC fighter level experience, but unfortunately none of that came to fruition. The pick here is going to be Renat Fakhretdinov by decision. I think beating Brian Battle shows levels. Obviously, that fight was on short notice for Brian Battle, so you can't really say that would happen again in a rematch. However, I do think that Renat beating a guy like Dalby is going to be way harder than beating a guy like Carlos Leal. So give me Renat by decision. Next up here, we got Ismail Nurdiev versus Bruno Silva. In this fight, I've been going back and forth on a lot, man. I've been going back and forth like crazy because Bruno Silva just has so much more experience. He's fought the top level guys. Nurdiev, he hasn't fought anyone special, man. Nurdiev, this is actually his second UFC stint. He had a little 2-2 run, I believe. He got cut after losing to Sean Brady in a dominant fashion, man. Media member scored that fight 30-26. I think there's an argument for him to win the first round of that Sean Brady fight, but after that it was all gas, no brakes by Sean Brady. He beat the ever-living shit out of this guy on the mat. And Bruno Silva, coming off that knockout loss to Chris Weidman, he got hit with the 1-2 eye poke combo. Weidman hit him with an eye poke with the left, eye poke with the right, and then Bruno Silva grabbed his eyes because he's in fucking pain and agony from the eye pokes. And then the ref stops the fight, calls it a Weidman win, which is crazy. I mean, it went to a technical decision. which still absolutely insane. Should have been a DQ. Chris Weidman didn't deserve to win that fight at all. Bruno Silva also went 15 hard with Alex Pereira, which is crazy to say. There's a few guys that Alex Pereira hasn't finished. One of them being Bruno Silva, the other one being Jan Blachowicz. And it's just insane, man. Bruno Silva got knocked out and submitted by Gerald Meerschaert in the same fight. GM3 hit him with that cross, and there was nothing he could do about it, man. He took Pereira shots, but he couldn't take GM3's. So Bruno Silva's a little weird for me. He's a hard guy to finish, but he can be dominated in the wrestling. Chris Weidman just kind of did that. He crotch sniffed his way to that decision, that technical decision, whatever it was. I think Nurdiev can more or less do the same in this fight. I think Bruno Silva has some miles on him. I think Bruno Silva's getting up there in age. He's well-rounded. He's okay everywhere. He's good nowhere, okay? Like Brave and wherever this guy's fighting. It's kind of hard for me to gauge how this guy has progressed since leaving the UFC after his last stint because almost all of his fights when he left is round one, round one, round one, round one, round two. I mean, it's not. I don't even understand why this guy got signed again. He went 4-3 in his regional fights after getting cut. Whatever. I mean, we just need another EV on the card. I don't really know. This guy is nothing special. I think if you're putting down money on this fight, you're a little crazy. I think Nurdiev can kind of nut hug him to a decision here. Maybe Bruno Silva inside the distance, decision, no action for a bet. But that's all I got for this one, man. The pick is going to be Nurdiev. I think you're crazy if you're betting it. All right, next up here, we got Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. In this fight, you're going to see the odds, and you're just going to lock in Basharat like it's nothing. Don't do it, man. Don't do that shit. Someone's screaming Kyler Phillips all over again to me. Everyone's saying Kyler Phillips, easiest path in the world to victory. Just take down Rob Font, dude. Just take down Rob Font. That's all you got to do, man. Kyler Phillips, minus 600. Easy. Lock it in. 6 units. No, man. Basharat is not that good. This guy's underwhelming in every fight. He leaves it up to the... Basharat is underwhelming, man. He leaves it up to the judges way more than he should. He has a very similar fight style to his brother, obviously. Coming out of the same gym, training together all the time. It's how it's going to be. I picked Amian Zahavi to beat his brother. And now I don't know if I'm going to pick Victor Hugo. But I'm just saying maybe, okay? The pick is going to be Farid Basharat. However, if you're betting Farid Basharat's money line, you need help. Okay, Victor Hugo is incredibly live. Victor Hugo, great submission grappling. Not to be confused with the BJJ legend Victor Hugo. Not the same guy, but a similar fight style, actually. Victor Hugo has some great jiu-jitsu. A little knee bar victory on the Contender Series for him. He has some leg injury wins on the regional scene. I couldn't find all the tape, but I can only imagine those are just knee bars where people don't tap because they're fucking stupid. Farid Basharat, he's going to be doing that little pitter-patter, 1-2 striking. Nothing impressive. He's not going to hurt Victor Hugo, even though Victor Hugo is not that good on the feet. Farid's not going to hurt him on the feet. He's going to shoot a takedown. I think Victor Hugo can threaten a guillotine, get a reversal, end up on top. Something like that. I think Victor Hugo has a lot of opportunity to win this fight. I think he has a lot of opportunity to win a round. He could catch Farid in something. Very slick submissions. Obviously, I don't expect Farid Basharat to get caught in like a fucking Kimura or something. If he throws out something tricky, he might get him. I think this fight is lined way, way too wide. I think Farid's going to win, but I think it's going to be real close. Give me a shot on the Victor Hugo money line. Next up, we got Beast Boy Barnett taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. It is interesting to note this is going to be Kennedy Nzechukwu's first fight at heavyweight in the UFC. At least that I know of. I don't think he did any stints at heavyweight. He's always been a light heavyweight. Pretty big guy, pretty rough weight cut. I think that's going to benefit him in this fight because he has been getting a little chinny, man. Getting knocked out by Dustin Jacoby in the first round is not a great look. And getting dropped by OSP especially is not a great look. Luckily for Nzechukwu here, Chris Barnett is not going to win this fight. I mean, you can throw some money at him for fun. This line's like minus 700, plus 550 if you're Chris Barnett. I think you're just kind of burning money at that point, hoping for a prayer. Chris Barnett is notorious for missing weight for a heavyweight bout. Against Jake Collier, he missed weight. And then Chris Barnett, he has a crazy fun style. He's spinning, he's doing spin kicks, he's doing flips, he's doing a bunch of taekwondo strikes. Super fun fighter to watch. He hasn't fought in a long time, unfortunately. Pulled out for a bunch of different reasons. Hadn't been able to get a fight. Obviously, he lives in Florida. The hurricane took him out. He was supposed to fight Justin Tafa. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was picking him in that Tafa fight because Chris Barnett showed against Collier. He can dominate it when he's on top. And against Tafa, that's all you have to do is get on top, all right? Tafa almost lost to Sean Sheriff on like fucking 2 days' notice. All right? He almost lost to that guy by getting taken down a little bit. Now, unfortunately, in this fight, Kennedy has some decent takedown defense. Kennedy and Njoku here, 80% takedown defense. Chris Barnett, 0% takedown accuracy. I'm not quite sure he's ever shot a takedown. He just kind of ended up on top against Jake Collier. And I think Kennedy is probably going to... I think Kennedy is unfortunately going to put our boy out here. I don't think it's going to be the first round. I think it's going to be a later round after he gets working a little bit. We obviously know that Njoku has that great win over Carlos Ulberg. I think that was a pretty raw Carlos Ulberg, pretty new Carlos Ulberg. Nothing like the one today, but I do think Chris Barnett, unfortunately, will not be able to hang with him for the full duration of this fight. And I'm going to have to see my boy go down. Next fight up, we got Abus Magomedov taking on Bruno Ferreira. And now this one, I have a lot of respect for both of these fighters. Bruno Ferreira is a come-forward guy. This guy's always throwing heavy leather. He is never not moving forward. This guy, all he knows is how to scrap, okay? Abus Magomedov came into the UFC, just dusted Stoltzfus in the first round. Everyone thought he was a killer. They fed him to Sean Strickland. He got melted. That's kind of what happens when you fight Strickland. He tells you you're going to go to war, then he's going to tape you, he's going to jab you for the whole duration of the fight. Abus was not ready for that. He gassed out trying to finish Strickland. Rookie mistake, happens to the best of us. And then he went down. The UFC tried to give him a bounce back. They didn't know how good Caio Borralho was. Caio Borralho melted this guy for the full distance. And then he got a nice win last time out against Warlley Alves. Warlley Alves is dog shit, so I'm not going to put too much stock into that. But he showed levels. He showed control. He showed an ability to ride the fight out, to do whatever it took to get the win. And that's something I like to see out of a fighter. When you take a fighter that's getting all these round one knockout victories, and then they get starched for once, they actually show an ability to take the fight the distance and to work for full 15. I really like to see that. Bruno Ferreira has not shown me that yet. Now, I wasn't making content, I wasn't sending out bets at this time, but I had some money on Bruno Ferreira to knock out Gregory Rodriguez. I could see that coming. Rodriguez is a little chinny. Bruno Ferreira, guy on the regional scene, he's throwing heavy. I took a shot on it, it paid off for me, so don't think that I have any disrespect or any hatred here for Bruno Ferreira. I understand what this guy's about. I think Abus is a bad matchup for him. Now, I think Abus is going to probably take him down. I think Abus is going to ride this fight out. Bruno Ferreira has a decent takedown defense, 60%. Abus will probably shoot twice, get one of them. And Abus has a high percentage takedown accuracy. Now, I'm not too certain that he was really trying to take down any of the first few guys, but against Warlley Alves, he looked damn good, all right? I think Abus can ride this fight out, take this fight the distance. Bruno Ferreira, in his 13 professional fights, has seen the second round twice, and one of them was like 20 seconds into the second round. We have no clue what this guy's about in the third round. This guy might not be able to breathe in the third round, looking like Michel Pereira in the fifth. I think Abus is going to melt this guy with the pressure late. I think he's going to play it safe, get a takedown early, and ride this fight out for the full distance. Give me Abus Magomedov by decision. Now, I do just want to say a little caveat on that. Something that worries me a lot is seeing Abus Magomedov in the PFL. This is 2018. He's obviously improved since then, but you can't really improve your chin if you don't have one. He got knocked out by Bilal Muhammad's 40-year-old coach, Lewis Taylor, in the first 30 seconds. Now that is what you consider concerning when you're picking a fighter to take a fight against Bruno Ferreira, okay? Bruno Ferreira could very well walk out there and spark Magomedov in the first 30 seconds. That's kind of what he does. I'm trusting Abus to get a takedown. If Abus does not want to shoot a takedown, Abus will be sniffing the canvas. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. I think if you're betting Abus, you need to understand what could possibly happen here. I think Bruno Ferreira could put him out, but I also do think Abus is going to be smart. He's going to shoot a takedown. He wants to protect his UFC career. And give me Abus by decision. Next fight on the boards here, we got Mateusz Rebecki taking on Mitalek Orobai. And this right here is a fun fight in my opinion. I'm a pretty heavy Orobai enjoyer, okay? I think Rebecki is a midget. I think Orobai can keep this fight at range a little bit. But Orobai doesn't really do that. Mitalek's going to come forward. He's going to stick to you like glue, okay? This guy does not get off, all right? He's like a Bryce Mitchell. When he gets you down, he's staying there, okay? It's hard to work up against this guy. Super heavy pressure when he's on the ground. His last fight out was against Elves Brenner, and that fight was fun to watch. That was one of the most fun fights of the year, in my opinion. Elves Brenner got dropped by Orobai, got taken down 5 times. That fight was super fun, back and forth the whole time. Mateusz Rebecki in his last fight, man, I can't say this with enough emphasis on it, got the shit kicked out of him by Diego Ferreira, the old man. He gassed so hard, got the shit kicked out of him, alright? Rebecki's one of these guys, pushing forward, finishing everybody. Ferreira found a good way to negate that. He kind of kept the pressure forward and he gassed him out, and then look at that, Rebecki just melted. He had nothing for him in rounds 2 and 3. Orobai, I think, is going to be able to melt Rebecki with the pressure. I don't know why I keep saying Rebecki, it's just Rebecki, but I'm going to say it how I want to say it. I think Orobai can melt this guy with the pressure. Rounds 2, rounds 3, it's going to be all Orobai. If you want to look for that round 2, round 3 scorecard winner, Orobai is going to be money every single time. Now, I would like to say, there's someone I got to put some respect on. Fine gentleman here named Powell Kiklek. This is something I found out when I was doing research. This savage right here, alright, on the regional scene, this guy has a win over Benoit Saint Denis. He has a win over Mateusz Rebecki. And he has a win over Guram Kutadeledzi. This guy's got some fucking sick wins, and he's just trapped in the regional scene. Don't think he even fights anymore. Just something funny I wanted to mention. That guy's a savage, but yeah, I'm not too impressed with any of Rebecki's wins. Beating Roosevelt Roberts and Loic Rosabov, it's not really doing it for me. I think Orolbai's got the better experience already, even though he's only got a couple UFC fights. I think Uros Medic and Elves Brenner are harder fights than anyone that Rebecki's fought. I don't think Rebecki's a midget. If you know anything about this channel, we don't pick midgets, alright? Give me Orobai by decision. Next fight up, this is one that I'm very excited for. Been looking forward to this fight for a while. We have Jeff Neal taking on RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos. And now this fight right here, I think it's Jeff Neal all day. I know a lot of people, I'm seeing people are actually picking RDA to win this fight. How? How are you going to do that? This guy's 5'8", fighting at 170. Same thing as Rebecki. It just don't work, man. It don't work. Jeff Neal's the real deal last time out. He proved that Ian Gary isn't all that. You know what he did the fight before that? He proved that Shavkat isn't all that. Oh, but Shavkat finished him. Dude, it doesn't matter. He proved that Shavkat has holes in the game. He showed that Shavkat can't strike. He showed that Shavkat is not going to be able to handle a guy like Bilal Muhammad. Alright? Jeff Neal has been poking holes in these contenders games for a while. It's about time they gave him a layup, a fight to get him back on the winning track, get RDA out of the sport. He's a little bit too old, a little bit aged. Sorry if you can hear those sirens out there. I'm not sure what's going on. Last time out, RDA fought Mateusz Gamrot. He dropped him. In typical Gamrot fashion, he gets dropped, he comes back, and he holds you on the cage for another 13 minutes. Lost that fight, unanimous decision. Before that, same thing. Got held against the cage by Vicente Luque. You might notice something. Vicente Luque and Gamrot are not the same weight class because RDA bounces back and forth. He's an in-betweener. He has been his whole career. And traditionally, that's not really good. Because you're going to be too big to make 155 all the time. You're going to be too small to fight at 170 all the time. I think this is a bold take. Give me Jeff Neal. I'm going to say decision, but I think he's live for a knockout. I'm not trusting anything. Recently, there's been a trend. There's been a decline in knockouts. A lot of people are claiming it's the gloves. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But there's been a decline in knockouts and increase in decisions. Give me Jeff Neal on the cards. I think Jeff Neal's a bad matchup for him. He has some of the best takedown defense in the division. People are talking about RDA going out there and taking him down and holding him down. Maybe you can hold Jeff Neal against the cage. I mean, Ian Gary could. Ian Gary's a big specimen. That guy's tall as hell. And he has that little wimpy kind of sissy cage hold, the same thing Ilya Topuria does. We'll get to that. Now, I do think RDA has potential to take him down. I don't think he will, though. I think this is going to be kind of a striking fight. I think Jeff Neal's going to light him up. And I can see Jeff Neal getting the better in a knockout fashion, but I'm going to call a decision. Next fight up, we got two sluggers going at it. We got Ibo Aslan taking on Rafael Cacuera. Now, I see a lot of people showing love for that Ibo Aslan. That's something I've been saying. You can't put too much stock into a win over Anton Turkali. That guy should have never been in the UFC. He just fed to Almeida. Never should have been here, okay? Rafael Capoeira makes sense why the UFC signed this guy. He's been finishing everyone in round one in the Demo Fight Org. Not too familiar with that organization. I kind of watched them. It's hard to say how good he is based on the round one knockouts. I watched the fight where he went to decision, though. He didn't look terrible. This looks like a guy that should probably have been on Contender Series first, but they're bringing him right into the UFC to take on Ibo Aslan, another guy kind of with the same mentality as him. Come forward, hit hard. And I like this fight a lot. I think a lot of people are going to be like hammering that under 1.5. Guys, there's something we need to mention about this fight. When you get two guys with these near undefeated records, Ibo Aslan is that one loss to Durkali back in the day that he avenged. Capoeira has never been beat. When you get guys like this that have been scheduled to fight each other for a while, they've done the tape, they've done their homework, they're scared of each other's power, they could just do the man dance. Two guys with a lot of power going around. Look at Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. Two knockout kings in the UFC, man. Finishing everybody. Guess what happened? They went to decision. They danced. They were scared, man. You get these guys that are scared of each other's power. They're not going forward. There's very few examples of times when guys actually go forward and just step into the pocket and swing. We're not breaking down an Ian Cutelaba fight. We're breaking down someone else, okay? I think that Capoeira looks really fast on the counters. I think that Ibo Aslan, people are going to say he has the better experience. I mean, does he? I don't know that you can say that. I know these guys in the Demo Fight League are not good. But neither is anyone that fucking Ibo Aslan has fought. These guys are both raw green fighters. And give me the dog. Give me Rafael Capoeira. I think he's liable to slip a counter and find a knockout in the second or third round. I don't think it's going to be a round one knockout. I think if that Rafael Capoeira is going to come in and try and continue his round one knockout streak, he might get sparked. But I'm also not too high on Ibo Aslan's skill. I think this is going to be kind of a boring jab fest, and I'm going to be looking at some distance props for this fight. Finally, onto the main card, here we're breaking down Shara Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. Now, a lot of people are going to look at this fight, and they're going to say Shara has another cannon in front of him. I don't think he does. I think Armen Petrosyan's pretty damn good. And I think Armen Petrosyan losing to, was that Rodolfo Vieira? Are you kidding me? If you're a striker, you're going to lose to Rodolfo Vieira. That's how that goes. Rodolfo Vieira, ADCC, IBJJF, everything. This guy is elite in the grappling, elite on the ground. And of course, he's sub Petrosyan. He's a striker. That's what's going to happen. Now we have a striker versus a striker. And you know what? I'm just going to say I think Petrosyan's a better striker than Shara. I think Petrosyan can control this fight a little bit. You watch some of the regional fights, Shara Magomedov is literally fighting fucking midgets. Shara Magomedov is not fighting anybody that should have ever been in the octagon with him. His UFC wins, you want to talk about those? Bruno Silva, that's his best win. And guess what? He was on his back for the full fucking third round. He was on his back a lot in that second round too. Shara Magomedov has nothing for anyone that's going to shoot a takedown. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that I expect Petrosyan to shoot a takedown, because I don't. All I'm saying is that Shara Magomedov should be more worried about that than ever right now. Now, Armen Petrosyan, he's a little bit of a veteran, not a long-time standing veteran. This guy's got a win over Gregory Rodriguez. Lost to Kyle Borrallo, that's going to happen. Win over Christian Leroy Duncan. This guy has good wins. AJ Dobson's pretty ass, but he got a win over him too. Armen Petrosyan's not someone to be fucked with in the octagon. Oh, I've seen people asking me, why isn't Shara a bigger favorite? Because I don't think Shara's going to win this fight. I think Armen Petrosyan's incredibly live to win this fight. I think the plus 3.5 for Armen Petrosyan is the best fight you can make on this card. I think Shara, if it goes to the judges' scorecards and it's a very close fight, we know where this fight is located in Abu Dhabi. Guess what? Shara Magomedov might get the nod even if he doesn't necessarily deserve it. Petrosyan's going to be in this fight. And I would like to point something else out. A buddy of mine brought this up to me. Shara's only fought southpaws so far. Now, you can't look at the regional tapes and find out what Shara looks like against a guy who's standing orthodox to him. Because, like I said, none of those guys should have ever been in the octagon with him. However, it's a little interesting. Petrosyan's a very good orthodox striker. And in that Tricoli fight, he's not a striker at all. That guy had no fucking idea what he was doing in there. Tricoli should have never been in the octagon. Let's just get that straight right now. But when he was dabbling around with that orthodox stance, it looked like Shara, for some reason, was only kicking his leg. I don't know if this guy has a bunch of training partners that are southpaw, or if that was part of his game plan originally, is to just kick the legs when he switches to get him back to that southpaw where he's more comfortable. But I don't think Petrosian's going to be easy to make him switch. Petrosian's very comfortable in that stance. I think Petrosian can open up some opportunities we haven't really seen against Chara. And I think this fight is a lot more close than people are making it out to be. Give me Armin Petrosian by decision. Next fight up, we got the featherweight Leon Edwards taking on Dan Ige. This fight's another one where I think it's getting a little wide. I think Lerone Murphy, you're going to see him around that 300 range. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think Dan Ige's a tough guy to beat. I think we can look at that fight against Edson Barboza, and sure, he beat the shit out of him. Let's not pretend like we didn't expect that to happen. We had a big bet on Lerone Murphy in that fight. Alright, I know my Lerone Murphy. I've studied this guy before. That was not necessarily like a super common pick to pick him against Edson. I saw a lot of people calling Edson Barboza the underdog of the week in that fight. Now, I know he was only a slight favorite, but I think that was a good call by me. I think Dan Ige, going out there against Diego Lopez, showed some grit, showed some serious toughness, showed that he wasn't going to get submitted by a guy like that. Not that Lerone Murphy's a huge submission threat, but I think Dan Ige can stuff those takedowns if he wants to. I think Dan Ige might even get a takedown of his own. I think Dan Ige can at least win one round. I'm looking at another plus 3.5 here for Dan Ige. Lerone Murphy's not finishing anybody. Lerone Murphy couldn't finish shit. He had Edson Barboza on Crip Street. Couldn't get him out of there. Barboza's 50. He's not actually 50, but he kind of looks like it out there, alright? He's not fighting like he used to. We're talking about a guy that barely beat Gabriel Santos. I'm not even too sure that he did beat Gabriel Santos. Another reason why I picked Gabriel Santos to beat Yaji Jia, or whatever the hell that guy's name was that he was fighting. I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect to that guy. Gabriel Santos beat the shit out of him. Gabriel Santos kicked the shit out of that guy. You can't talk down on Gabriel Santos. I think Gabriel Santos beat this guy. I think Dan Ige's world's better than him. I think Dan Ige hits harder. I think Dan Ige's got good enough grappling to take him down if he wants to, if he's not liking the striking. However, there is the Dan Ige curse. Dan Ige, every time he tries to fight up in the division, he loses. He fought up against Diego Lopez, he lost. Fought up against Bryce Mitchell, he lost. Fought up against Movzar, he lost. Up against Emmett, he lost. He fights down. Oh, dude, if Dan Ige fights down, if you're an unranked contender coming into the division, Dan Ige's gonna put your fucking lights out. Beat the shit, and I mean the shit, out of Nate Landwehr. Andre Feely, out in 1. Gavin Tucker, out in 20 seconds. Alright, now I know Lerone Murphy's ranked. I know Lerone Murphy's actually pretty good. I think he can win this with a technical, flawless game plan in a very Leon Edwards-esque fashion, which is why you've heard me talking up Dan Ige. The pick's going to be Lerone Murphy by pitter-pat decision, but I can't fault anyone in the world for taking a shot on Dan Ige here. I think Lerone Murphy is just too technical. This guy's a boring fighter. He's going to climb the rankings. It's going to take a pressure wrestler like Belal Muhammad to Leon Edwards to really beat this guy. If Dan Ige comes out here with the wrestling shoes on, he takes him down, he holds him down, he can find a choke maybe. I don't think that's going to happen. That's not how Dan Ige's fought historically. Not how Dan Ige's looked out there. That's not how he likes to fight. So for that reason, I'm going Lerone Murphy by decision. But again, I will not look at you funny if you tell me you're picking Dan Ige in this fight. Alright, now we're getting into the good stuff. You guys have been watching my videos for a while. You know I'm not afraid to take a shot at Ankalaev. I hate this guy. This guy's one of my least favorite fighters in the whole UFC. I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment in this fight. However, I would like to say Alexander Rakic is a terrible matchup for Magomed Ankalaev. I hear people saying that Magomed deserves a title shot. He shouldn't have taken this fight. Why? For getting what should have been a DQ loss against Johnny Walker? That shouldn't have been a no contest. That was a fucking very illegal strike. You need him in the head while Johnny Walker's on the ground. It's not like that Aljo or that Movzar where they're choosing to be there. Johnny Walker got pushed down, had a knee on the fucking mat, and Magomed held his head with 2 hands and slammed the knee into it. It's as illegal as it comes. It's no contest due to an accidental illegal knee. Are you fucking kidding me? There's nothing accidental about that. He knew what he was doing. That's a DQ loss. Johnny Walker deserves a title shot more than Magomed Ankalaev. Yeah, he beat him in the next one. I wonder why, because he has fucking brain damage from the knee he took to the head in the fight before. It's unreal, man. And on top of that, Magomed Ankalaev just had a title shot. He got to fight against Jan, and guess what? He lost. Magomed didn't get robbed, guys. If anyone got robbed in that fight, it was Jan Blachowicz. Magomed did not win that fight. Not here, not there, not anywhere. Magomed lost that fight 3-2, and I'm standing on that. Blachowicz dropped him from leg kicks over and over and over. Magomed doesn't check leg kicks at all. You know who else doesn't check leg kicks? Yuri Prohashka. Rakic had a field day against Yuri in the first round with a leg kick. Nothing to do with it. Yuri had nothing for him. But guess what? Yuri's a little savage. Yuri has this thing where every time he's fighting, he's always losing until he's not. Magomed Ankalaev is not really that way. People are going to say that Magomed's going to come forward and wrestle heavy. Dude, Magomed averages 1 takedown per 15 minutes. This guy's not a wrestler. Magomed's a fucking striker. He's not a wrestler. We're calling him a wrestler because he had that one round against Jan. Some people call that a 10-8. No. No, that's not a 10-8 round, okay? But all I'm going to say, Magomed's not going to come forward and wrestle. If this guy fights Pereira, people are saying that Magomed's going to be out there. He's going to shoot a takedown before he even touches gloves like Khamzat. No. If Magomed fights Pereira, he's getting slept in the first because Magomed isn't going to wrestle. He's not a wrestler. That's not who he is. I think Rakic is going to win this fight by kicking the legs. I'm not actually picking Rakic. Unfortunately, I really wanted to. I thought long and hard about this. I really, really wanted to pick Rakic to win this fight. I think Rakic 100% wins one round. I think round one's going to be all Rakic. I don't think Magomed's finishing Rakic like Yuri did. I understand, but that was a while ago, okay? That was earlier this year, UFC 300. Pressure was on. Rakic coming off that injury. Rakic has some experience now. He's back. He felt what it's like to win a round against Yuri. Unfortunately, he got finished. Yuri kind of does that to you. The dude's a savage. Ankalaev is not. Ankalaev is going to win this fight 29-28, and it's going to suck. Next fight up here, I can't wait to ruffle some feathers with this pick. We got Robert Whittaker taking on Khamzat Chimaev. A lot of people are calling it Dana White privilege. They're saying Khamzat doesn't deserve this. You could have said that for the first time they were booked, but Whittaker asked for Khamzat. He didn't want to fight anyone else. He wants to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Whittaker, you're cooked. Buddy, you're done. I'm sorry. Khamzat's going to finish this guy. Khamzat is going to ground and pound TKO Robert Whittaker if he doesn't choke him out in the first 2 rounds. Now let me explain why I'm saying that, man. You're going to see a bunch of fucking idiots picking Whittaker by knockout. What? Whittaker's not knocking anybody out. Whittaker, if he gets a finish in this fight, it is a ground and pound, wimpy ass fucking in like round 5. That's how Whittaker wins this fight. Because Khamzat Chimaev is going to come forward. He's going to take Whittaker down. People are saying, oh, you don't know about Whittaker's takedown defense. Yeah, I do. It's not that fucking good. Khamzat will take down Robert Whittaker. You know who had the best takedown defense in the entire welterweight fucking, I think, in history? Kamaru Usman. You know what Khamzat Chimaev did to him in the first round? 10-8'd him with wrestling. This guy is different. He is on a different level, okay? He's not playing on the same level that everyone else is. You want to say he didn't look good against Usman on 1 week's notice? Yeah, dude, it's Usman, Kamaru Usman, arguably one of the welterweight GOATs on 10 days' notice, or whatever that was. You can't prepare for a guy like Usman when your original opponent is Paulo Costa. Khamzat's going to come forward. He's going to take down Robert Whittaker. He is going to out-grapple him. He's going to take the back. He's going to hold the back, and he is going to strangle Robert Whittaker, in my opinion. I think it could happen in the first. I think it probably happens in the second, but I'm not counting out that first round finish. I mean, Robert Whittaker has 1 knockout in the last 7 years, and it was a guy that took the fight on a week's notice when Khamzat got sick last time. Ikram is a bum. Robert Whittaker didn't put him out half as cold as Khamzat did with a fucking uppercut, and Whittaker's hitting this guy with everything. He hit him with the same uppercut. Guess what? It didn't do as much. It wobbled him a little bit, sent him back. Then Whittaker had to hit him with the 1-2 head kick to put him down. Khamzat Chimaev did that with 1 singular uppercut. Rob is chinny. Rob has been chinny. Drick has put this guy out with a fucking dab jab. Drick has covered his eyes with 1 arm because he didn't even want to look at what he was going to do to Whittaker. Covered his eyes, hit him with the jab, dropped him. Right on his ass. Khamzat Chimaev has the potential to knock Whittaker out on the feet. I wholeheartedly believe Khamzat could spark Whittaker on the feet. I think Khamzat's better everywhere this fight goes. People are going to be talking about, dude, Khamzat's going to gas out. He has a trash gas tank. He has a bad gas tank. Does he? He won the 3rd round against Gilbert Burns. He won the 3-round fight against Kamaru Usman. He broke his hand in the 1st round of the Usman fight. He couldn't strike. His striking looked like shit in the last couple rounds because it hurt to throw. It was broken. If you can't throw a right hand, you're not going to look good throwing a right hand. That's how that goes. And guess what? He still did enough to win that fight. He won the 2nd and the 1st. Now I think Khamzat Chimaev, like I said, is probably going to 10-8 Whitaker in the 1st. He's going to beat Whitaker in the 2nd. He's going to finish Whitaker in the 2nd. And I'm very comfortable saying that. If Whitaker finishes him, all the more power to him. That's a good win. Unfortunately, Whitaker will still not get a title shot. If Khamzat finishes Whitaker, he will get a title shot. He's jumping Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland doesn't deserve a title shot. Are you kidding me? Beating Paulo Costa after Robert Whitaker beat Paulo Costa, that doesn't get you a title shot. Sit in line, Sean. It's Khamzat Chimaev season. This guy's en route to getting finished by Dricus du Plessis. Last fight up on the card, we have the main event. Wrapping up UFC 308, we have Ilia Topuria taking on Max Blessed Holloway. And now breaking down these fighters, Max Holloway, we all know what he's about. He's going to dance around the octagon. He might not throw the hardest shots in the world, but he will touch you up. Most significant strikes landed in UFC history. This guy's looking to run up the numbers over a span of 5 rounds, most likely. Ilia Topuria, on the other hand, is a very high-level grappler, very technical striker. One of his flaws is he throws the same combinations over and over again. I think a guy like Max Holloway is capable of reading into that and maybe finding a counter shot. However, Ilia Topuria hits damn hard. It doesn't take him many of those combinations landed to put someone out. He landed that combination one time against Volkanovski and dropped him, put him out cold. Now, I know that's a bit of an asterisk there, but I don't think that changes anything. I think if they run the rematch, Volkanovski faces the same fate, probably in the 1st round. However, Max Holloway is a different breed. This guy's never been dropped, according to the UFC stats. We saw what happened against Gaethje, but they didn't count that, so I'm not going to count that here. This guy's never even been knocked down, been in the UFC for over 10 years. He knows what the fight game's about. Ilya's a newcomer to this guy. Ilia is a lot shorter than Max, and as we saw against a guy like Jai Herbert, that caused some issues for Topuria. He caught that head kick flush, got dropped. One thing I will say, when Ilya's in trouble, he knows what to do. He puts his grappling to use. A lot of people think this guy's a striker. They're seeing his knockouts. They're seeing the Josh Emmett fight. Ilya's not a striker, guys. Ilya's a high-level grappler. It's incredibly credentialed grappler. And he will wrestle Max Holloway. He's saying this shit where he's not going to shoot. He doesn't need to shoot to win. He can outbox Max. He's going to shoot, okay? If Max Holloway stings this guy once, Ilya's shooting. He's pushing him to the cage. He's holding him. He's going to shoot a takedown. The line for Ilia Topuria takedowns is 1.5. I think that's an easy over. I think there's no world where Ilia can finish Max Holloway on the feet. I think he's going to have to wrestle. Now, I'm picking Ilia Topuria by decision. I think he's way too well-rounded for Max Holloway. I think this is going to be a very dominant fight. I think we're looking at what could be a 50-45, what could be a 49-46. I don't think Max Holloway has much success here. I think Ilia Topuria runs away with this pretty handily. Obviously, Max is always going to bring the pressure. He's always going to do everything. I think Ilia is just too good. I don't think there are many people in the division I'd pick to even come close to beating Ilia. Ilia fights Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is getting finished in the 1st round. That's not even close. Don't even try and tell me Diego Lopez is a threat to Ilia Topuria. Not a chance in hell. I think Max Holloway is one of the best chances, and I'm still picking him to get 50-45 by Ilia Topuria. It sucks to say I'm a big Max Holloway fan. You can't really see it. I have a big Max Holloway portrait back there. It's going to be hard to watch, man. Fortunately, I don't think that Ilia is going to finish him. I think that it's going to be more or less Ilia just kind of working him against the cage. A very boring fight, but a fight that gets the job done. And I think Ilia Topuria is going to finish Volk if they give Volk the rematch. Hope you guys enjoy the picks. Hopefully you kind of agree with me on a couple of these, man. I know there's some tough fights to pick in here. I picked a couple underdogs, but not too many. It's the Abu Dhabi cards. I don't know what you want me to say. If you guys want to hop in the Discord to get all the picks, all the bets, everything in the description down below. Totally free to join the Discord. You want to make some money, though, join that VIP. Only $1 a day. You can't beat that value, man, for the UFC cards. On the weekends, man, it's $2. It'll cost you $2 for just that weekend. Obviously, it's attached to the monthly package. That's how it is, but it's $1 a day if you break it down. I hope to see you in there, man. We crushed it last weekend. We're going to crush it this weekend. I've been tracking my bets for 20 weeks of UFC. I've been profitable in 18 of 20. Can't beat, man. Can't beat that, man. No one else is doing that. A lot of these guys are going down 10 units a night. The worst night I've ever had betting is down 3.5 units on UFC 306. I mean, I'm looking at Twitter, man. After last week, it's a cemetery. Don't tail these guys sending out their parlays with Benoit Saint Denis and 5 parlays. These guys with Kyler Phillips as a parlay anchor. That's such a terrible way to bet. Yeah, you're going to have a 20 unit night every once in a while, but nowhere near enough to be profitable. Those guys are all down money. Every single one of those guys is down money, all right? You want to join the Discord? You'll get some prize pick plays, some underdog plays, all that fun stuff. Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one, man. Hope you enjoy it. Peace out.